Carson Wentz looked like he was the MVP frontrunner in 2017, leading this Eagles franchise to the future and beyond. Now the Eagles had a very disappointing 2020 season with no real plan for the future. Doug Peterson is fired now. I'm Vince Barefoot. Hopefully you guys enjoy. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to figure out what happened to Carson Wentz. Carson James Wentz, the NFL quarterback we all thought was going to pan out into a future superstar. Out of North Dakota State, he was a second overall draft pick in 2016 for the Eagles to lead their bright future. What you would want, a good, solid quarterback. 6'5", 22 years old. Now, here's where we'll break it down. We'll start off with the injuries. All right, on December 10th, 2017, Wentz tore his ACL in his left knee in a game against the Los Angeles Rams, ending his MVP caliber season. You know, right there, already a long setback, especially later in the 2017 season. Went on a high note just to have his backup, Nick Foles, win Super Bowl 52 and be considered the hero in Philadelphia. On December 11th, just a day after the year anniversary of his torn ACL, he has tests revealing he had a fractured vertebrae and he will miss the rest of the season. So that is back-to-back season-ending injuries. January 5th, 2020, about a year after the fractured vertebrae, Wentz suffers a concussion against the Seattle Seahawks in the wild card round. He's missed the rest of the season since they lost the game. In conclusion, we can draw his history of very extensive, hard to come back injuries. And when we thought he was going to be at the climax, the absolute peak of superstardom, the star quarterback on one of the rising teams in the league, is when confidence comes into play. When you have a backup win the Super Bowl and nobody gives you credit for getting your team there, Nick Foles comes in, wins the team the Super Bowl, the first in franchise history, and you get nothing. You don't get any recognition for having an MVP caliber season. You get absolutely nothing. Now Carson Wentz got his team there. He put up those MVP caliber numbers. But Nick Foles got all the credit, beating the Patriots in Super Bowl 52. With the combination of his athletic ability and mental toughness at the lowest after season-ending injuries, and the confidence destroyed not only by Doug Peterson, ex-coach of the Eagles, but also the whole city not even recognizing how far and what the accolades he brought. He just cannot possibly be in the same physical condition after having a hurt back, a hurt knee, and a hurt mind from a concussion and lack of confidence. The Wentz we knew left 3 years ago, and that might be the last time we ever see the Carson Wentz we all wanted. That doesn't mean a quarterback that gets hurt badly still can't be good, or even great, but it's silly to think Wentz's 3 major injuries have no effect on him whatsoever. Especially the last of them, a concussion, which of the 3 generally is the most mysterious and unpredictable long-term and short-term effects. If it's not the injuries, what else could it be? Well, if you watched football this last few games of the season, it looks like Doug Peterson had completely given up on Carson Wentz. You know, not even the same look in his eyes of where he thought Wentz should have been, whatever's going on behind the scenes. Some of us may never know. The Eagles are greatly impacted as it has torn their locker room apart. As you can see, veterans like Zach Ertz and Jason Kelsey have looked to side with Carson Wentz over the Eagles franchise. Now, does that mean they'll retire or just move on to a different team? The discombobulation of the Eagles is what is impacting their future stars, the stars that have been there for decades, or any hopes of having a future through draft picks that want to be there, free agents, or guys wanting to continue to play. Now, the latter of those could be saved, a good coach. Everyone loves playing for a good coach, just having a good success. This year is not what the Eagles have been for a majority. 3 years ago, they were in the Super Bowl and won against one of the greatest dynasties in sports history. Realize when it's time to move on from some of them superstars or ex-stars like Jason Kelce. Is it time to move on? He's been an all-pro, perennial Pro Bowler for 5, 6, 7 years. 34 years old. Time to move on, I think. Not saying you're going to get any draft picks or you're not going to get another young player. But it is time you see what Jason Kelce wants, what Zach Ertz wants, what Carson Wentz has vocally said. And he's fed up with the poor coaching, poor management, and just poor team effort altogether. And that comes from the heart. You have to realize that. Doug Peterson is gone, and that is a large reason of what people think was because of Carson Wentz. The Eagles still want Carson Wentz as their quarterback. They're not ready just to give up on a guy they spent so much for. All the draft picks that they used to move up to get him. And we know how Carson Wentz can play at an elite level, MVP level. But the poor drafting. J.J. Arcega-Whiteside may have a great college career, but just did not pan out. Okay. Jalen Reagor has not been what you expected out of a first and second round picks. Guys that are supposed to lead your future at the wide receiver position, replacing people like Deshaun Jackson and Alshon Jeffrey. But the guys that you saw in front that you could have easily gotten, and DK Metcalf and Justin Jefferson, who are both playing like top 10 receivers at their position already, for guys that don't even have 500 career receiving yards. Imagine if you had Carson Wentz, people like DK Metcalf and Justin Jefferson, how much better or how much more opportunities he could get to reach that superstar level. Okay, so let's just forget the injuries, the poor coaching, the bad drafting. What if Carson Wentz just regressed? What if he just hit his prime super early and then just imploded? Forgot how to play quarterback. Because right now, I would take a middle school quarterback over Carson Wentz, right? Guy has had terrible QBR, terrible everything, terrible stats, terrible confidence. Why did Carson Wentz just forget how to play? He went from great to probably the worst quarterback in the league statistically. Because he went from the hero to the zero. Nick Foles is the hero of Philly land. There is no Carson Wentz statue in front of the stadium. There is only Nick Foles statue from that Super Bowl 52 season. So can you really blame Carson Wentz for not playing to a level? He's got no weapons. His O-line. Jordan Mailata's been hurt. Sua Opeta has been hurt. Isaac Samala has been terrible the last couple of games. Brandon Brooks hurt. Lane Johnson hurt. Jason Kelce getting old and not being consistently healthy. And what happens when you see a quarterback, no matter the skill level, have a terrible O-line? Give you an example. Russell Wilson has had a O-line this year. Very, very below average, though. Gets crushed by a top-ranked defense. Now, this is never saying you can't allow a sack. Carson Wentz led the league in sacks. Didn't play 4 games. Now, in 2017, Wentz had a 60% completion percentage, 3,300 yards, 33 touchdowns to 7 interceptions. 2018 Wentz missed games. 2019 Wentz played the whole year but got hurt in the playoffs. 4,000 yards, less touchdowns, the same amount of interceptions. Some could say he was still above average quarterback. Carson Wentz, 2020. Only 12 games because he got benched. 2,600 yards. Only a 57% completion percentage. 16 touchdowns to 15 interceptions. Quite a large drop-off from only half the touchdowns to double the interceptions. Not even the same amount of games, 700 less passing yards. Almost a yard and a half average difference. This looked terrible. The worst Carson Wentz by far we've ever seen. Not even close to his 4,000, his career high in passing yards in 2019. Nowhere near even his third best year, not counting his rookie year, of 21 touchdowns. In the last 3 years, he had 21 combined interceptions. In 1 year alone, 15? In the past 2 years, significant regression, had 26 fumbles and lost 11 of them. Man has never really held on to the ball. Okay, so that leaves us with, where could Wentz get better? Where can he improve? Great coaching, obviously, will help a lot. Getting those superstars, there's plenty coming out of the draft. Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle, Jamar Chase, You still have pretty decent value in people like Brandon Brooks, Lane Johnson, and Jason Kelsey. Guys that were top of their position getting older. Get a 5th round draft pick out of them. There are studs that you can find. Not saying this will ever happen, but people like Antonio Brown. Okay? David Moore, a reliable wide receiver 3 for the Seahawks. 7th round draft pick. You don't just throw away the 7th round, 6th round draft pick. Chris Carson, 7th round draft pick. You don't always have to go for the guys that are automatically going to be the best. Sure, they help in the short run. Maybe they become future Hall of Famers. Okay? There's plenty of talent in this draft. Even from the top 3 I just said, to people all the way, 6th round, Thayer Thomas. A guy you can really depend on. Trading people. There's a lot of things this team can improve on. They have cap issues. Wentz has a $50 million contract. It's very hard to get out of, especially with how he's playing. The future looks bleak, but it can change in an instant. Wentz starts playing better. Other people around him start playing with. You have 2 very good running backs in Boston Scott, Miles Sanders. Start using them more. Take the pressure off Carson Wentz. And that right there, if you take the pressure off of him, he won't be as stressed out, and he could one day reach that MVP level